300 years after the fall, Dr. Ido, a skilled cyber surgeon, discovers a beaten-up cyborg in Iron City's scrapyard. Despite its poor condition, the cyborg's brain is still working. Ido brought it home and fixed it up. When the cyborg wakes up, she's amazed by her new body and wobbles to a mirror to check herself out. She then goes downstairs to see who saved her. Ido checked her for problems, but she just says she's hungry. While Ido helps her peel an orange, she asks if they know each other and if she can remember who she is. She cries when she realizes her memories are gone, but Ido tells her they'll come back over time. Ido takes her outside, and she's impressed by the city in the sky, Salem. When she asks for a name, Ido calls her Alida. As Ido shows Alida around Iron City, he talks about people coming there after the fall, all wanting to go to Salem, but no one from Iron City can. Alida is interested in a TV show called Motorball, but Ido says it's not worth watching. When Ido leaves to get food, Alida shares her food with a stray dog and notices a wanted poster for a murderer who killed 6 women. A Centurion, a large police robot, arrives, and Alida confronts it. Hugo pushes her to safety, but she goes back to save the dog. Hugo praises her skills, and Ido explains she's new to the area. Alida remains fixated on Hugo as he leaves, even as Ido pulls her away. Later that night, an attack on a woman occurs. Alida awakens to find Ido returning with a bloody arm. The next morning, Alida sees Ido's arm wound and hears about body part thieves and a serial murderer from a cyborg patient. Ido warns her to be cautious. Outside, Alida encounters Chiron, who observes her closely and makes her uneasy. Chiron later talks to Ido about Alida and their late daughter's body, suggesting they collaborate to create motorball champions and save money for Salem with Vector's help. Ido didn't want to go back to Salem. Alida met Hugo while he was playing motorball with friends, and he asked her to join. She had a hard time keeping up and crashed into a pole. When she tried to score, Tanji knocked her down and took the ball. But Alida didn't give up. She kicked Tanji's feet, stole the ball back, and scored a point. After the game, Hugo offered her a ride home. They saw a bounty hunter named Zapan, who had a cool sword. The next day, Hugo showed Alida Salem, hoping to live there and believing she might be from there since she was found in the scrapyard. One night, Alida followed Ido and saw him confronting a cloaked woman. They were ambushed by Griwishka and Romo, with Ido pushing her to safety before she discovered the cloaked woman was Nisiana, their foe. Alida fought back, defeating Romo and Nisiana, and Griwishka challenged her but escaped after she broke his arm. Ido collected a bounty for Nisiana, using the money for clinic repairs. Alida asked about her memories, and Ido revealed her body and name belonged to his murdered daughter. He had created a cyborg body for her, but the real Alida died in his clinic. Seeking vengeance, Ido became a hunter warrior. He also mentioned that Alida's heart, powered by an antimatter microreactor, could sustain Iron City for years. Since the fall, the technology hasn't been made, so Ido thinks Alida is over 300 years old. In Vector's place, he tells Chiron to make motorball champions for him. Griwishka bursts in and asks for repairs. Chiron initially refuses but changes her mind when she learns Alida defeated him. The next day, Chiron notices that Griwishka is wired. Vector's attitude changes when Griwishka speaks in Nova's voice, the scientist from Salem. Nova wants Griwishka rebuilt to bring Alida to his death. Nova then transfers to Vector's body and promises to take Chiron to Salem if she pleases him. Meanwhile, Ido and Alida discover that Griwishka is off the bounty list, so someone must be protecting him. Alida wants to become a hunter warrior to remember her past, but Ido refuses and she runs away. Alida joins Hugo in a motorball match where she learns the final champion gets to go to Salem. During the game, a player named Kanuba and his weapon grindcutters catch Chirane's attention. Tanji calls Hugo away for an important matter, and they leave the match. Later, Kanuba is attacked by masked motorcyclists, and Vector pays them to deliver Kanuba's parts to Chiron. Vector finishes off Kanuba. The next day, Hugo and his friends take Alida outside the city. They explain the war that destroyed everything outside Iron City and how Salem survived. They show her a sunken URM warship to trigger her memory. Alida recognizes it and goes inside, where she instinctively navigates the control board with a huge orb inside. The mysterious orb reveals a cyborg body. Alida takes it to Ido and asks him to replace her body with it, but he refuses. Alida believes she must have been a warrior because the warship responded to her. Tearfully, Ido finally reveals that she's a Berserker, one of the most advanced cyborg weapons ever created, which is why he won't let her use the new body. Alita leaves, determined to find herself, and registers as a hunter warrior. Later, she joins Hugo in a bounty hunter's bar. Zapan warns her about competing for kills, but Alita asks for help in defeating Griwishka. The others laugh, and Zapan offers to train her, but she refuses, mocking his vanity. He threatens her, but she fights back, smashing his head on a table and kicking him away. Alita challenges the other hunters, starting a brawl that Hugo tries to stop with a taser. Ido arrives and threatens to stop free repairs, ending the fight. Then, Griwishka arrives, newly repaired, with grindcutters. Nobody wants to fight him because he has no bounty. When a stray dog growls at Griwishka, he kills it, causing teary-eyed McTeague, a dog lover, to refuse to fight. Alita marks her face with the dog's blood and confronts Griwishka. They fight, and Griwishka tries to cut her, but she evades. They end up underground, where Griwishka reveals his intent to kill Alita where he used to live. During their battle, Griwishka becomes even tougher, but Alita continues to evade his attacks. She manages to push him back but gets a cut on her leg. Griwishka mentions that Nova, the same person who saved him, shapes Alita's destiny. Alita tries to attack him head-on, but Griwishka cuts her body into pieces. In a sudden memory, her martial instructor, Gelda, told her that Nova was the enemy. In the present moment, Alita uses her one remaining arm to push herself up and jab Griwishka right in the eye. Just as Griwishka is about to strike back, Ido and Hugo rush to the scene. McTeague, fueled by anger over what happened to the stray dog, sets his cyborg dogs on Griwishka, forcing him to flee. Afterward, Ido gently carries Alita's body away. When Chiron sees Ido with Alita, she mocks him for trying to replace their daughter with Alita. Left with no other option, Ido reunites Alita with the Berserker body, which transforms to look just like Alita's subconscious image of herself. When she wakes up in her new body, she immediately expresses her gratitude to Ido and proudly shows it off. Alita discovers a surprising ability to produce fire on her fingertip, and Ido explains it as something called arc plasma, although he's not sure how she can control it. He reminds her that her body is just a shell, and it's up to her how she uses it. Alita then takes a stroll with Hugo to show off her new body's remarkable features. Hugo, noticing she's more sensitive to touch, persuades Alita to close her eyes as he leans in to kiss her. Meanwhile, Nova, inhabiting Vector's body, orders Griwishka to eliminate Alita. He's intent on obtaining Alita's heart because she's the last of the Technarchy's finest weapons. Disturbed by how Nova has taken control of him, Vector decides to come up with his plan. He invites Hugo for a drink and commends his determination. Hugo reassures Vector that he's working hard to earn 1,000,000 credits to ascend to Salem, but Vector is more interested in discussing Alita. The following day, Alita visits Hugo, and he confesses that since meeting her, he's reconsidering his plan to leave for Salem. Alita, however, won't allow Hugo to abandon his dream and insists on helping him gather the necessary funds. She even offers her heart, suggesting they could find a cheaper replacement for her. Hugo declines, not wanting Alita to sacrifice herself for him. Instead, he proposes that Alita should join the world of Motorball and become a champion. As Alita prepares for the game, Ido adds safety gear to her because he's unfamiliar with technology. Unbeknownst to them, Vector has enlisted the help of hunter warriors to eliminate Alita during her Motorball match. Meanwhile, Hugo seeks out Tanji, who's currently stealing parts from a cyborg. When Hugo admits that he wants out of their thieving activities, Tanji suspects it's because of Alita and confronts him. This leads to a physical altercation that is interrupted when Zapan arrives. Zapan condemns Hugo for his thieving ways and suggests that Alita might forgive him if he were dead. Hugo points out that he doesn't have a bounty on his head, so Zapan kills Tanji's victim and frames Hugo, making him a target. Tanji tries to defend Hugo, but Zapan swiftly slices Tanji in half. In desperation, Hugo uses fiery ammunition to attack Zapan and makes his escape. Ido spots hunter warriors among the players in the game, realizing Hugo led Alita into a trap. He warns her of their deadly intentions, but she remains confident. The Motorball game starts, and Alita impressively uses the ball as a weapon, defeating her opponents, even beheading one. Hugo calls for her help against Zapan, leading to a battle outside the arena. Alita outsmarts and defeats the hunter warriors, saving Hugo. When she sees Hugo on a murder bounty poster, she claims the kill is to protect him. As Centurions arrive, Alita flees with Hugo's dying body. Alita hopes to bring Hugo to Ido, but he warns her that Centurions will kill them both if she does. Hugo confesses to tearing apart cyborgs but claims he wants to quit because he loves her. Chiron finds them, but when Vector calls her, she lies about their whereabouts. Alita presents Hugo's head, which is attached to her body, keeping him alive. Zapan tries to take Hugo, but the Centurions mistake it for him stealing another's bounty, allowing Alita to take his sword and injure him. The next day, they attach Hugo's head to a cyborg body with Chirane's help. Ido reveals that the only way to reach Salem is by becoming a motorball champion, so Hugo couldn't have bought his way there as Vector claimed. Ido knows because he was born in Salem but was exiled due to his daughter's illness. Meanwhile, Vector questions Chirane's decision to let Alita go. Chiron, torn between being a doctor and a mother, ends her partnership with Vector, realizing that what she truly wants isn't in Salem. As Alita walks away, something blocks her path, but she eventually leaves to confront Vector. Centurions demand her weapons surrender, but she uses Zapan's blade to easily fend them off. She descends into Vector's office, challenging him for his lies to Hugo. Vector defends himself, claiming that he keeps his promise of sending people to Salem. He shows Chirane's dismembered body parts, which he's sending to Nova as the only way to reach Salem. Suddenly, Griwishka arrives and strikes Alita, causing her pain. During her ordeal, Alita has a glimpse of a past mission where she fought against Salem. Her team was wiped out on the tube connecting Salem to Iron City, and Gelda urged her to finish the mission and destroy Salem. Alita's body regenerates from Griwishka's attack, and she retaliates by slicing his grindcutters and cutting his body in half. Vector pleads for his life, but Alita calls for Nova, who communicates through Vector's body. Nova acknowledges Alita's exceptional abilities and refrains from stopping her. Alita asserts that she doesn't need Nova's permission to live, but Nova hints at potential threats from others and suggests they can track down Hugo. He enjoys immortality by watching others die, which infuriates Alita, leading her to kill Vector's body. Ido calls Alita, informing her that Hugo is being hunted and heading to Salem. Alita finds Hugo on the connecting tubes between the cities and tries to stop him. Hugo argues that staying in Iron City means death due to the bounty on him. Alita insists it's where Nova wants him to be to reach her, and they'll be together. Hugo points out they'll always be running if she stays, but Alita is determined. Just as Hugo reconsiders, Nova deploys the barrier. Hugo gets sliced and falls, thanking Alita before his cyborg body falls apart, leaving Alita in despair. Months pass, and Alita becomes a contender in the Motorball Champions League. Despite the chance to go to Salem, she still grieves her loss. As she enters the arena, all eyes, including Nova's, are on her.